You're a naval officer, and we will show you the respect you deserve? Yes, sir. Hello folks. A while back I was stationed in Pensacola, Florida, as a trainee for learning to be an IT for the Navy. Every morning our class would meet at the end of a long stretch of walkway where we would march as a unit down to our classroom's building. Now this base is primarily manned by enlisted personnel. For the uninitiated, we are the lower ranking personnel, and when we encounter an officer, we are required to render a hand salute. Most officers that set foot on this base know that they are outnumbered 1,000 to 1 and as such, tend to avoid the enlisted mob, as not to draw unwanted attention as massive herds of people are forced to stop what they are doing, render a salute and greeting, and you have to do the same. Cue our brand new lieutenant. For naming anonymity, and because I like Forrest Gump, I'll change his name to Lieutenant Dan. Lieutenant Dan was a dick, and would regularly park his car near where we were forming up, stroll by our formation, and cuss out any of the new folks that didn't notice. One time his exact words were, "I am a naval officer, and you will show me the respect I deserve by rendering a hand salute." Swear to God it was like he rehearsed this spiel in the mirror before showing up that morning. What LT Dan did not know, is that us lowly enlisted folks are petty. What he also didn't know is that sometimes on rare days where it was too hot in North Florida to safely march in formation, we would all be allowed to walk ourselves home down the long 1/2 mile stretch. Well, one summer day, with maximum humidity and heat so hot you could fry an egg on concrete, we all were allowed to walk ourselves back to the barracks. As we are walking in the distance, my class sees the all too familiar stride of Lieutenant Dan coming our way. A plan is hatched as we begin spacing ourselves out several meters apart, and marching one by one down towards him. I was one of the middle of the pack folks, and I got to see the look on his face as the first salute and polite good afternoon was rendered, followed by another as soon as his arm went down, then another. By the time he got to me he was sweating. He even shouted at us, "You don't need to salute." Try as he might though, our class decided that day that all 20+ students in my class, and a few others nearby, would render him his proper salute during the sweltering 1/2 mile walk down the path. I can't confirm this or not, but apparently he was pretty pissed at the end, cussing pretty loudly. His uniform was all stained from sweat. All I know is from that moment on, when we saw him park his car, he would get out, look at our class and walk well around our class out of hand salute range. Gotta love the military. TLDR. Officer asked for a salute, 20+ of us complied in the Florida sun. 1. By 1.
Now to the comments. Spike Milligan and his friends also did salute traps during World War II when in the army for training, a trick that will not go away soon.
The audio books are wonderful, and as he narrated them too, that makes them even betterer.
What's the name of the books? As a former naval officer, I can confirm that most officers learn this lesson early on. To make it all the way to LT before getting this lesson is just piss poor.
As a duck and nuke, it was always fun watching stuck-up officers get broken. Man, the academy puts some really unrealistic expectations in people's heads.
As a nuke, I only got to be a part of one of these once. At Prototype in Charleston. And the officer was the walking back from the pier to the classroom building. We strung ourselves out, did the whole thing, and about halfway through our line he just dropped the salute and calmly said, "Duck you guys." We accepted that with a smile and moved on, never did it to him again. He was a decent sort about it, so it was all good. I had a friend whose dad was a high-up officer in the U.S. Air Force. One day, the family went to Colorado Springs on vacation. Dad was giving them a close-up, personally guided tour of the U.S. Air Force Academy grounds. They were walking across the terrazzo, the central plaza, towards the mess hall, and at that precise moment the mess hall doors opened and 4,000 cadets exited, having just finished lunch. Not all, but a significant portion, of those 4,000 cadets had to walk past friend's dad on their way to some place, and every single one of them saluted him, and, of course, he had to salute them back. Every single one of them. That's a lot of work.
Wow, you have a really well-defined right arm.
Lols. And happy cake day. Excellent MC. I salute you for it.
OP replied. Watch it, buddy, I work for a living, winky.
Yes, sir. We used to always do the salute trap at school in South Carolina. Unless the class was new or in trouble, we always walked on our own. The enlisted would use one entrance and the officers another, just to avoid this. God help the ensign or JG who forgot where they were. I've seen the horror on faces when the poor schlub just sticks their hand up and leaves it there for forever.
Met, most officers would just get their head down and avoid eye contact. Don't have to salute each other if we didn't see each other. The Command Master Chief when I was there was a terrifying salty MC and I absolutely did my best to stay away from him.
They tried. I once witnessed one of the CMDRs get after a JG who tried that. Apparently word got around after that. Used to do this at Nuke School in Orlando. Glorious. Similar, but not MC, my brother-in-law attended my boot camp graduation, also in Orlando. At the time he was a LCDR. From what I heard, he had to wear a sling for a few days after walking around RTC with us. At one point my little sister noticed a recruit who did not salute. She called out, "Hey! That guy didn't salute." Thought the kid was going to pass out? Too funny. We all still laugh about that 40 years later. What LT Dan did not know, is that us lowly enlisted folks are petty, especially the Navy NCOs.
OP replied. As an NCO. Can confirm. I am very petty and have only gotten more so as the years go on.
Ah yes. Much petty from those aspiring to be petty officers. Excellent work. Yeah, most of the LTS at Pensacola knew to just steer clear of us for the most part. LOL, I had a few butter bars say thank you when we saluted them. It was cute. AMUSMC officer and can confirm I do a quick scan when heading outdoors on bases with enlisted schools so as to not render 500 salutes walking to my car. But also, isn't this LT wrong in addition to being a prick? Pretty sure the formation leader is the only one required to render a salute while in formation. That being said, if I do get caught, I always appreciate the courtesy.
I'm thinking the same thing, only leader salutes in formation. Maybe that's what OP meant was happening? And that's why they had the smart idea to walk one by one to keep the salute train going without being in formation? Or maybe it was when they were forming up so you're in that weird state of, shit, am I in formation or not?
In Charleston, we used to have enlisted people walk back and forth past officers to make them keep saluting over and over again. Had similar happen at Fort Gordon in Georgia, though there was no explicit jerk. There are both enlisted and officer training courses there, so you'd often find either an officer or an enlisted soldier end up in a salute trap. My favorite was watching a group of enlisted finish a detail near the officer training building right near the end of lunch. So 50 plus LTS walking in a stag guard group past a group of 50 to 100 enlisted also in a stag guard group, and everyone had to spend the next 5 minutes walking and constantly saluting. Yeah, I was there in 1986 for Naval Electronics School. 23 weeks of a cram course. That was great little base. The clubs were great when I was there. But it was a long ass walk to class, for sure. I'm amazed that place is still open. It's ancient. That was one of the few good things about being in an active theater of war. Saluting officers is not done, because they don't want to be identified by the enemy. Corey Station was originally an airfield.
OP replied. Yup. Good ol' Corey Station. It was an airfield a while back. Fun fact, during thunderstorms they shut the base down and make you stay indoors because apparently the base was lined with rebar from the leftover airfield infrastructure. I'm not sure if there ever really was a problem, but we used to love hearing heavy thunder because it usually meant the day off, or at least a delayed start.
Oh yeah, it was a real problem. We once found a dead body on a command run the morning after a thunderstorm. When I was in the army, officers and/or cadets, wannabes still in officer training, would hang out near the exit of the mail room. The cadets were the worst, with their little round circles linked together as rank about demanding respect.
I remember a gaggle of cadets who rotated through our company in South Korea. Half the time nobody saluted them at all and the other half earned the question of why'd you salute him? Cadets got no love, to the extent the commander actually forgot them at an FTX and had to send a helicopter back for them. Poor cadets.
We did this in a school as well. We called it machine gunning. Their arm was going up/down every second past 40 or so people when we walked by.